pleasure to meet you once again. Congratulations on your second feature. So how does it feel to be in your second project? If you meet a young filmmaker, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, don't let anything stop you. After I made my first movie, I was waiting for permission to make the next one, and I was depressed and I was frustrated, and finally my husband just said, go, let's just go take our savings and make a movie, and that's what we did. And so we wrote the script, my co-writer and I, Tim Macy, and we flew to the Ozarks, and within 8 weeks we were making a film. And it was really, I would say to independent filmmakers, to set a start date. When you set a start date and you tell people you're making a film, people want to come on board and help you. It's kind of like making rock soup, It's like you say, I've got this great rock soup, and people start adding in ingredients, and soon you have an amazing stew. So it was also really amazing to work in the Ozarks, because the place is so filled with beauty, and there's this mystique to it, and it's also a challenge because it's hot and there's a lot of ticks, but we were so lucky because we had so many people from West Plains, Missouri, which is deep in the heart of the Ozarks, who came and helped us to make this film.
That's awesome. And then for you, what was your inspiration while writing?
The inspiration was very personal. My brother was in the Air Force, and he had been suffering from PTSD, and he had been estranged from me, and I hadn't seen him in 15 years. And so the story of Fern looking for a brother is one that is really close to my heart. And then the other part of it was really that I was so outraged that children in the foster care system are stigmatized to no fault of their own, and yet here they go through, they have a child, their parents abandon them or are unfit to take care of them, and then they're in these terrible situations. And so I wanted to examine this idea of a woman who goes from being a self-sufficient loner who doesn't care about anyone, coming home from the war with PTSD, and becomes a self-sacrificing hero.
And what do you want the world to know about PTSD? I feel like that's something that we still don't really, we hear about it, but we don't know too much about it. So what would you want to tell people? What
I want people to know about PTSD is that it is treatable, and that it's a terrible, terrible thing. War is a terrible, terrible thing, and there's so much trauma around that. But there is treatment for PTSD, and there's no shame in getting help, and that PTSD tears families apart, and that I just wish that I wish my brother would understand that if he had gotten help, that we would all be together. And it's just it's so it's such a tragedy when soldiers come back and feel that they cannot lean. It's such a tragedy when soldiers come back and feel they can't tell their commanders, or their fellow soldiers what they're going through and get help. And it's an epidemic within the military, and I want people to have empathy and to help them. Well, thank you. For me personally, I have a relative that is suffering from PTSD, so it's amazing to see something that actually brings that to light. So I appreciate it personally, so thank you for that. And then just finally, what was your favorite, just to lighten it up, what was your favorite set memory? What was your favorite thing that happened while shooting? One of my favorite memories was that, we were shooting with a crew of 12 in the middle of the Ozarks with ticks and heat, and we needed rain, and the rain didn't come. And there was a scene that really called for it, and so I turned to my fellow filmmakers and I said, what about getting up on the top of the roof with buckets of water and pouring them? And so there's actually a video of this happening where two little ladies sitting up on the roof pouring water as our actress runs under the roof, and it looks in the movie like rain. That is true independent filmmaking. Sure, that's like guerrilla filmmaking, just making it happen. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations once again. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.